Thank you for joining me today on Paint a Beautiful Picture. This is episode number 148, Living in Unity. It's very interesting that from the time little kids go to school until in the school where I taught all the way through senior high school, but oftentimes through seventh or eighth grade, kids will say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All of those words hold an implication of unity, one nation, unified, living together in unity under God, with a common goal and purpose. For us, I think as Americans, that is the freedom to speak our minds and live our own lives. Religious freedom, freedom of the press, freedom of speech, freedom to bear arms, freedom to defend our homes and our families, oftentimes freedom to have a home, freedom to have an education. We have so many freedoms, we don't even understand all the freedoms that we have. And they come because we live unified as a nation with a common goal. What happens in a home when there really isn't any unity? The answer is a disaster. So, living in that kind of place day after day after day is really emotionally stressful and spiritually stressful, mentally exhausting. It's just horrible. It's not a good way to live. None of us really need to live in that kind of a state. And as parents, we are responsible for a place of peace and safety and a home that has unity in it. Where do you start? Let's start at the beginning. If you are a young person, and I pray that I have a whole lot of you listening to me, maybe you're not even married yet or you don't yet have children. Ideally, you are the people I really want to appeal to. Figure out what matters to you. Learn how to put it into writing and state it very clearly so that when you date, and especially when you think about getting married, you know that you and that person are on the same page. You don't have to be on the same page about every single thing out of 100, but you better be on the same page about 75 to 80 out of 100, because if you aren't, you are setting yourself up for a household with a lot of disunity in it. And you better learn how to negotiate. You better learn how to have a fair fight. And you honestly, it would be very helpful if you can start to learn how to compromise. If you're already married and you know that you have very different ideas about raising children and about managing money, how your household is run, so many things, work on those things before you have a child. Come up with a unified plan about what you're going to do. If you already have kids and you're not very unified or you haven't had these discussions, go ahead and have them. It is never too late to work on and address some of these things in your home. Once you know what you're doing and you've come to a place where you have a certain level of unity with your marital partner, with your co parent, even if you don't live in the same household together, then your kids are aware of this and they have that stable foundation. Now you can start talking to them about getting into unity with the family program or with their siblings, even with their friends. Kids in general like to have what I call some level of fight. It has to do with the fact that they're developing as a human being, they're developing their own ideas and their own thoughts and feelings. And they want to express them, and sometimes those come out as an argument or a fight. Kids will be prone to get into fistfights with other kids, whether it happens when they're 3 or 4 or whether it happens when they're in middle school or teenagers. It definitely comes at some point, and I wish I could say boys predominantly, but honestly, I know plenty of girls who have gotten into all kinds of physical fights. I haven't ever been in one, maybe because I'm pretty small and I knew better than to do that because someone would beat the living tarnation out of me, but also because I just never felt like it was productive. I watched a lot of people in my house have a lot of very physical altercations. It never really solved anything, but people ended up with bloody noses and black eyes and broken out teeth and a lot of really bad stuff. I didn't see the point of that, so I haven't had any physical fights in my life, but plenty of people have, and I understand that. You need to help kids understand the value of unity. Uh, there's a very interesting scripture that says, "How good it is when brothers dwell together in unity." I actually agree with that. In our world, we don't always see a lot of unity. We don't see a lot of unity in politics. That's a fact. Sometimes we don't see a lot of unity between races or nations. We don't see a lot of unity in families. More than 60% of them, the last thing I read, end in divorce. And so kids are torn apart and emotionally devastated at the loss of one of their parents, even if they just move across town. It's still very devastating. There certainly isn't a lot of unity within the church. I'm really sad to say that, but it's a fact. Some of us don't even have much unity in our own hearts. We feel very divided about what we think and how we feel and what's going on and the way things are affecting us. Unity is not so easy to come by. Let me describe to you some of the things that can help us and can literally foster unity so that you can intentionally develop unity, at least in your own household, and hopefully foster that between others like your children or even your coworkers. One of the main things, and I will talk about this repeatedly because it's such a big deal, is to listen to the other person. When you listen to the other person, you demonstrate to them that they are valuable. You also actually demonstrate to them that their viewpoint is valid. Doesn't mean you have to go on to their side and agree 100%. That doesn't mean that. But just, I'm willing to listen to it and give validity to it. And another way to give validity to someone's differing viewpoint is to say, I can appreciate what you're telling me. I don't see it exactly that way, but I can see why you think that way. I can see how you feel. Wow, you just validated them. Huge stuff in bringing unity. Again, you need to speak honestly. You need to teach your children to speak honestly. This is what bothers me. This is how I feel about it. I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm hurt, I'm disappointed, I'm frustrated, I'm furious, I'm devastated. Yeah, to really be honest about what they're feeling. And to all of us, in the midst of a discussion, come up with possible solutions. Okay? I'd really appreciate it if you would. Then they can come back with, well, I would appreciate it if you would blank, 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 or if you would stop doing blank, 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 and you listen and you come to a compromise or an agreement. And you say, okay, I see how you feel about this. I did not mean to hurt you. I'm just living life. I didn't know it was making you that angry. I didn't realize it was hurting you that badly. This is what I'm willing to do. We call that making a concession. And if both sides are making concessions and compromising and looking at the other person and coming to an agreement everyone can live with, then instead of having these two very disparate ideas and never coming together, you come together in understanding, in appreciation for the other's viewpoint, and you come together with a compromise and a willingness about what you're going to do, what the other person is going to do, and oh my gracious, suddenly you have unity. Just plain old unity is a matter of loving, appreciating, showing kindness to, cooperating, and working alongside of someone else, even someone who is really different than you are. And let's face facts, if you have 5 or 6 children, you know every single one of them is an individual. They are not just the same, and they have opportunities within their home to learn how to get along with different kinds of people. That's a great opportunity, so take it. And you help them to know that things that foster unity are encouragement. Wow, you did a great job at that. I didn't ask you to do the dishes for me because I was at practice late I didn't get home from volleyball until, 6:30 at night. Everyone else had already eaten dinner and mom stuck mine in the oven. But you cleaned up the kitchen for me and it was my night. Thank you. I cannot tell you how much that means to me and how much I appreciate that. Notice what the other guy did. Or you did a really awesome job on that homework assignment. And I know it was hard. I saw you working on that. That was really great. Honestly, there are things we can say that are the simplest things, but we are actually paying attention, noticing what's going on in the lives of those around us, and discussing it or encouraging them and supporting them and acknowledging it. Those are big things that really do foster unity among people. You can teach your kid to look at their other siblings and say, "I would have never thought of that. That is a really excellent idea." If your kids aren't used to talking to each other, at first they'll be like, "Yeah, I know, that's what you're supposed to say to me." But after a while, if this really becomes the way that your home runs and it becomes a lifestyle thing, you will just be shocked how much this fosters unity within your family. Mom and dad, if you're working really hard and you're very overwhelmed and you're awfully busy with your life, even you might be the one who needs to learn how to show support, speak words of encouragement, words of appreciation, and build unity between your kids and yourself. A lot of parents have huge divisions between themselves and their kids, especially by the time those kids are in middle school or so, and those parents are very sad about it and they're not quite sure how to get it back. Oftentimes, just the simplest things of noticing what they're doing and speaking positive words make a big impact. I will tell you a thing that I really like, and that is write a note. Now, don't do it every day because over time it will lose its meaning, but occasionally write your teenager a note. I know you've been working really hard, and man, when I saw you in your last soccer game and you didn't make a goal, but you got that ball down the field so well and right to the person, right to the center, so they could get it into the goal, I was thrilled seeing you and seeing some of the fruition of all of your hard work. You just have no idea how much that will foster unity of spirit between you and your kids. Unity is not something that just happens. Humankind is quite divided. I've lived in a lot of cultures, and let me tell you, I've seen it in every culture I've ever been in. That's not a joke. Humankind has trouble with having a united front and standing together in unity. If you want to have intentional unity happening inside of your home, you need to learn how to make it happen and you need to instruct and assist your kids in making it happen between them so that you have a peaceful, sweet, thoughtful, gratitude filled environment, atmosphere inside of your home where you and your children can live in unity with one another. Today, I want you to ask yourself, who am I in unity with? If you aren't in unity with anyone in your whole world, I invite you to start working on this skill today because it has wonderful dividends that will last for the rest of your life. It really, truly does. I'm going to leave you with a photograph of my two sons. They hadn't seen each other for a few years because my one son was teaching overseas. And this is how much my two sons love each other. I'm really proud of them that even as adults, they are completely unashamed to show the entire world their great love for one another, that they know how to live together in unity as brothers. I hope you have an amazing day. Please go and hug and kiss your children for me and for yourself. I will look forward to seeing you again soon on Paint a Beautiful Picture. You may find additional information on our paintabeautifulpicture.com website. Additionally, you may watch me on Rumble, and you may also listen to a podcast on Buzzsprout or Spreaker, all under the name Paint a Beautiful Picture. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. You may subscribe, and if you are interested in receiving notifications, please hit the notifications button.